There it goes.
Are you bitching again?
No, still.
All right, what y'all tell these people about me, okay? Like, I wasn't here last night and today, and like, what's going on?
Oh, it's a best conspiracy. That's all right, that's cool.
Just remember who my patrons are, Sherry. Just saying.
Hey, remember, I worked with her too.
Take your go. Eli's back, yes. Keep giving it. Oh.
Can we please pay our attention to our speaker?
I know, sorry.
Well, the NFL is very important in my heart. No, this is not going to be all about the NFL. The Denver's doing some amazing things you don't understand today, and maybe we can cut that. Well, as you can tell, I'm quite nervous. But once I get started talking, it's going to be like, one of two things is going to happen here today. We're all going to be amazed at what the gods are able to do in our lives. Or I'm just going to like shut down eventually, and then but you just got to wait for the reset button to kick in, and then we'll just go on. But I like to start out with a quote. Here, somebody turn this off. This is actually my first appearance at a podium in over 20 years. And I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's with you folks. Thomas Jefferson said, "I'm never so happy as when I am in the free flow among friends." And some of us were talking last night about how wonderful the experiences were out and about camping. And Robin, I don't know if he's still here, he's got like an aversion to the sunshine and he loves it inside. And this type of event is actually suiting me pretty well too. But I am glad to be with some of the best friends I've ever known in my life. And thank you for being here. There used to be a movie called The Resident Evil. I don't know if you've seen that. But what I want to talk about today is about the resident. Be blessed. If you follow me on Facebook, every once in a while, something will come up in somebody's life, and I will offer this, I don't know if you'll call it consolation or an encouragement, to be blessed. Now, we're all familiar with, you know, the Wiccan use of the term "blessed be," and I've turned it around, and I want to talk about going beyond the troubles, the emotions, the situations in your life, the things that would tear you down, and ask you to just look for a place just beyond where the gods are and be blessed. And be blessed. This is a little bit different than most of what we normally consider an ADF type workshop. And I'm aware of that. See, even though I mentioned to Kirk that it's been 10 years now that I've been an ADF member. So even though, you know, I may maybe shouldn't consider myself a youngin', but I do. And most of what I have to offer is to give back what people have sown into me. And great speakers and workshops that I've been to over the years, and I've been blessed to attend many pagan style events and hear a lot of good stuff. And to have the opportunity to reshare. So I'm aware of the fact that I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak. I don't have the kind of stuff that you came to hear Kai speak about. And his workshop this morning made me think a whole lot that I have to go home and rethink a whole lot of what I believe about some of the gods. So what my goal here is to get us together to think. Get us together to consider the possibilities of where our next blessing is going to come from. When we need most to be touched by the gods, where and how. And what I'd like for this to be is a kind of a dialogue. Again, I'm not so experienced or have so much learning that I can teach you people anything new. But what I want to do, and what I've always wanted to do when speaking to a group of people, is to cause, not only myself, but to cause you to think about different things. Think about, in this case, where our next blessing will be from. I want to I want you to consider how important you are. How important each one of you are. Not only, we're each important, okay? We've got a current sitting ADF Arch Druid here with us in our midst. And that's a wonderful thing. That's exciting. If I had the power, I should take one step back. I have been working on a satire, and that's what I was hoping to present today. Only I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock, and I decided that I'm just not in a place where I feel like I could devote an hour and a half to staying in a character. Okay, so I pushed that aside partially. And in that satire, I would have chosen our Archdruid to be my first saint. He means that much to me. But the point I'm trying to make is that each one of us is important, is that important to ADF, and to the future of what the gods are doing, and to the future of what will happen amongst our family, our friends, the people we work and come in contact with. People will in fact recognize and see when blessings are flowing in your life, when richly you're being blessed. Okay. People will recognize and begin to come to you for that. Begin to come to you to talk about their problems. And part of what we talk about as far as growing a church is being available to people who are not members, and who so that they might be encouraged to become members. Well, we're not talking about church growth. What we're talking about is finding a place where the gods are working and getting there, going beyond, so that you might be blessed. Be blessed. I want to talk. Let's start off. Ladies first, right? I agree with Cary when he says that Bridget or Brige is not a name, but a title. She's the exalted one. 20 years ago in a pulpit, I would start out with, let's all rise together and open your Bible and let's read a scripture. Okay? If this was 20 years ago, I would say, let's turn to the book of Exodus, and in the place where Moses brings to the people of Israel or the Ten Commandments, it says there, thou shalt have no other gods besides me. And that's okay. We're not gonna tread on any of that. It's a good point to bring out here because even there it says, should have no other gods. Which means that there are other gods. And the other gods are powerful. They may not be, forever, but they're palpable to the point where a God would suggest his people not involve themselves with them. For me, it's kind of too late. It's kind of too late for a lot of us, for all of us here in this room, right? And somehow I want to focus my rambling to Bridget. Let's get back on track. So of the gods, I want to talk about Bridget first. She's they make fun of me in our grove. I call her on in bulk and give the suggestion that she is indeed the lover of my soul. She and I made a wonderful connection right after I became a pagan and have walked as one of her devotees for the last 10 years. And I'm glad to know her as an exalted one in my life. I think that I'm a pretty cool person. But I like to have someone a little bit better than me. Someone I can look to for some wisdom once in a while. Even though my wife is now part of my life. Bridget is she serves as a unique person. Let's talk about her as she has 3 different aspects. She's like a triple goddess. But in the traditional way or the usual way where the triple goddesses are seen as the virgin and the mother and the crone, Bridget is like 3 sisters. She's like triplets. And they're all like the same age. They all have the same name. It's kind of unusual the way the gods like swap names and stuff. But her characteristics as healer and as smith and as poet we'll discuss first with the healing aspects of Bridget. Bridget was born kind of over a threshold. And that gives her she comes from a liminal place, and she has it's like the ghost that moves in, and it's how do I talk about luminosity here? She's she can walk into your life at a moment that you just don't expect it. Bridget will just when things are so tough, when things all around you seem to be falling apart, she's the one that's gonna be, she's just gonna walk up behind you, and it's like, here I am, and I'm here to help. We know in her healing aspect, she was, midwife and caretaker of the babies. This is her hearth working, and that part of her that cares for the babies. She's the midwife. She's also in the barn caring for the infant lambs. This time of year, we just celebrated her holiday, and so she's watching over the lambs, watching over the babies, and she's watching over each one of us. You see her like with water, jugs of water sometimes, in various art renditions. In the war, like she's compared with Minerva in that aspect of carrying, providing the water. And the waters are very important. Waters become like a salve. I mean, I need a drink of water right now. I think the water that Bridget brings me is like milk. Okay, she brings the milk, she brings the ewes into milk, and it's just so real. It's just so real. The milk that she brings, and see, I go all out in my trance or whatever. I don't take a cup. I let her pour it over me and saturate me. And there are things that I do in excess. We'll often take some oats or some grain and put it in. I'm not afraid to pick up 2 handfuls or 2 bowlfuls and pour them into those offerings. And that's one of the things, like where do we go? What do we do in order to gain those blessings on the moment's need? Is again, because the gods are resident in our life, and because, again, we're special people. What mostly I need to get across is the blessing kind of stirs around us. There's like, I don't know if I should use the word anointing or available strength or it's that which works. That's what we really want to know. What works, right? What is the secret? I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is I got a secret. The gods are not really going to bless the loudest person. They're not going to bless the wildest person, the person that prays the longest. Or they're not going to bless the exceptional giver or person that wears the right kind of clothes. What they're looking for is a person who's available, whose heart is broken to the spirit of that God, whose heart is touched. And I don't know if this goes too far. Or is this the next thing that the next doctrine we need to talk about. I don't know. Bridget is a healer. Okay, I mean, that's what the Lord tells me. That's what I know. Okay. Yet some of us struggle. Okay, with physical situations and ailments. Bridget is the smith in fireworks transformation. And her fireworks change, and like it's the kind of fire that doesn't produce ash. It's like not a consuming fire, it's a transformative fire. And I'm sure that there are workshops out there all about that. And the transformative fire, see, I don't want to like get negative and stand on people's toes or get right in front of your face and say, this is what you got to do, or this is why you ain't getting it, or this is why you're not. Because my paganism, my love of the gods is not like that. Sometimes the gods and the goddesses can be forthright and insist that you do certain things, or take it upon yourself to change, or to walk in a certain way. But they're not going to snap a whip and make you, give up your will and to change. It's transformative, not consumptive. In her aspect as a smith, we have to take our understanding and our knowledge of her aspect as a smith and think back when the community was coming like out of the Stone Age. Okay? And communities were developing and growing, and this smith worker, this, what do you call that person? The metal worker, or the smithy, the blacksmith was an important and integral part of the community. They developed things that we all needed at the time. They brought it, the smith, and the importance of the smith and Breege's aspect as a smith worker is like, I would take Kaiser's algebraic formula and add another +1 and another set of parentheses around the smith worker. That's how important they were. The things that we needed, the creation of things that are necessary will come from Breege. The creation of things that will take us to another level, take us to a place of new hope, a place of where we could see the horizon and get beyond the frustrations of daily life. In her aspect as a poet, she's the helper of the bards, brings inspiration to the songwriters, and in her aspect as an inspiring goddess, she she wakes me up at times when I need to be woke up, and shows me the potential in different things that I could be doing, that I should be doing. She inspires not only poetry or singing, but there's an element of inspiration that we each need, that we each will benefit from in knowing Breege. Well, Lady Breege was, you know, a great goddess, and you know, her name means the exalted one. She later, you know, became a saint. And I'm kind of like amazed how seamlessly she transferred herself, her name, and continued to increase devotees by becoming a saint. And she was able to maintain the aspect of a lot of our faith and bring it to people, like even like in New York City. There's a what do you call it? A cathedral in honor of Breege, Saint Breege. And you know, her influence stretches the imagination. I'm not sure how I can explain, because I don't understand how it's possible that this red-headed, blue-eyed goddess ended up as one of the voodooing Lao. You know, how does that happen? You go from Erin to, you know, the Isles where the voodooing have their situation. And she became a worker for them. She is the worker with the dead, and she like watches over the cemeteries and the dead that are there. And the aspect that I want to relate out of that is not that, you know, is that she's watching over each and every one of us. She has the ability and is watching over each and every one of us. Let's talk about the Dagda. I had a hard choice whether to talk about the Dagdas or Lou, and I decided to go with the Dagda. He's an interesting character. The Dagda is like the, you know, he's often depicted as the buffoon of the gods, and that may or may not be true, and that may or may not be disrespectful, but he's the guy whose phallus dragged the earth when he walked. So if you got it, you might as well flaunt it. So among the gods, he's probably the closest to well, let's skip that analogy. The Dagda is he's like he was king of the Tuatha De Danann. He was born to Dana and like came out of a great acorn, and he and Breege and I forgot the thing was my towel. The cauldron of plenty was his primary utensil. You know, other than the club and the harp, the cauldron of plenty something I want to put before you, in the ideal that the cauldron of plenty is available for you to reach into and take what you need. Fill up, take a full meal, take a full drink, fill your cup up and lift it up. Again, excess is good. Fill a bucket up and pour it over yourself. The cauldron of plenty. It's a big, it served its purpose with providing for soldiers and all of that. And it would serve a purpose providing for us as well. I'm fortunate enough that I know where my next meal is coming from. And most of us here probably the same. If I got in a situation, I have friends and family enough that would help me. So where does the cauldron of plenty, angle its way into our lives as a force of blessing? And there are times when we come against. Let's talk about that ideal and his club as a warrior aspect. He's there to defend us, provide for us what we need, and defend us from the enemy. And he's a warrior god, and that big old club that he swings, and able to kill 9 men each time he swings it. And on the other end of the club, raise dead men back to life. The gods are special, unique. They turn out to real good movie characters. Right? And
I don't think so.
Yeah.
some may or may not think so.
That's next summer's hit.
The Don.
Coming soon to
Coming
a theater
soon
near
to a-
you.
Beware of pearls.
But he's here. He's here, and he's willing to fight for us. He's willing to strengthen us, help us to fight for ourselves. And he too has a harp and plays music. The music that he plays brings order. Okay, this is a good one for me. I go to him in trance sometimes, and he brings his harp and just soothes my emotions. It brings order, and he shows me a path of order, and what I need to straighten out or throw out or kick myself in the pants sometimes, and just keep it going and get it going and straighten it out and get it right and do the next thing instead of waiting and sitting back and hoping that things will change. Sometimes the Dagda will just take that club and like clear the way before you and let you know that help is on the way. Dagda is the good God. And back to the characters, all these characters are good gods and will bless you. And the reason I know that to be true, not only because of it works in my life, but the ideals of where the gods came from. people millennia ago, you know, the years that they had good harvests, they rather than taking the boast for themselves, were glad to share that the gods have blessed them. When things are difficult, they're chaotic gods. They're chaotic things that bring the shortfall into our lives or into their lives. And the gods were there for them to take away their struggles, take away their, bring about good ambitions, bring about hope, bring about prosperity. And Dagda, the good god, is one of them. Where do we go? Where do we go? I mentioned earlier about the go beyond. Well, there came a time when the Dagda, Breeze, all the other gods, the Tuatha De Danann, kind of moved away from the community of man. And it's said that they live like on the other side of a hill, the other side of a mound. And the thing that I believe most that causes a transference from the other side of the mound to where the rubber meets the road for us is the fact that for 30-some years, people have been consistent in offering offerings, doing rituals, building up a base level of sacrifice and hopefulness that, you know, one of the most pleasing things to me about our grove is that, you know, I know from high day to high day what the next ritual is going to pretty much be all about. And that's one of the, probably the most, you know, because I don't like change. Okay? No change for me.
Says the man that just got married.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get over that for sure.
Stop by her
He
head.
loves you. I'm sure he does, yes.
There's a certain, the consistency that's in the work that we do is very, very important, my friends. It's very important because it's like filling the cauldron of plenty each time we make offerings, each time we talk to the Dagda, each time we talk to the Morgan, each time we talk and call on Odin, each time we call on Frigg or Freya, each time we, you know, reach out in faith with expectancy and bring offerings and assume, or it's not really the word I want, but know that our interchange, our intercourse is being received and things are happening. We're refilling our own cauldron of plenty, in our own midst. There's like, I can assure you, because of the fact that I know the people that are here, okay? I know the spiritual resiliency and the things that have grown, started to house us, okay? It flows from that mound where the gods are. and it works in our life, and it's palpable, real, because of our intercessions and the things that we've done to honor the gods. And they recognize us. And get back to where I was talking earlier about availability. It's not the person who talks loudest or prays longest. It's the person who's available, who makes themselves available to the community, who makes themselves available through honor of the gods and participates in the rituals. You know what? I'm going to tell you a secret. Here's a secret. Here's a good one. That's one of them. Here's the point secrets. See, I shouldn't have been stupid. No, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, expectancy is important, people. I want you to know that the secret is I go to every ritual with an expectation. Some I pray about, or I know what needs to happen. There's an expectancy in my attitude, in my mind, and in my heart that I'm going to receive something special in that ritual. Even though now, you know, I've been to Samhain feasts 10 years, and they're always about the dogma, and they're always about the Morgan. Some people complain, it's always going to be about that. Guess what? You stay in this, you stay in the tier of the cloud, it's always going to be about the dogma. And it's always going to be about the Morgan. But that's the best part. It's consistent. It goes from year to year, from season to season. And that's another thing that these solar gods like. I'm like all about the All-Fathers. And Dogma is one of them too, if you didn't know. And Kai told us this morning. and things that are like about circles. I'm about the sun gods. I'm about the father gods. I'm about the change in the seasons. It's one of the reasons why, you know, I'm still so excited about my paganism. It's because it's all about renewal. It's all about the next new day, the next new year, the next sound, the next Beltane that's coming. And where do I want to go? Oh, it's all about this cauldron right here that's full of plenty. It's like a drug. Okay, to me, it's like a drug. Yeah, it's like a drug, and you can have some too. There's like a chemical addiction that I have to being a part of what transpires before and after and during a ritual. Is that okay?
Cary the pusher.
Another nickname to add
Another
to the
nickname.
plethora.
Okay. Every ritual is a be blessed opportunity. Every time, I mean, we've been encouraging people to do daily daily devotions. There's a reason, okay? It increases your availability when you spend time with the gods. It increases your it increases the opportunity for you to receive out of that cauldron, that chemical dependency, okay, to receive that blessing. All right?
The priests are the biggest abusers of the chemical.
It's a good thing I'm not one of the priests. Huh? We can all get away with this junky talk. You know, if I could, would you allow me to make a Judeo-Christian, back to my history, back to my past, analogy?
Sure.
Sure. Out of the hill, on the other side of Aaron, where the gods are living, there's a spring of living water that's rising up out of a well there. may be the well of Kildare, and breeze ascending the waters. And I mean, it's flowing right by us, and all you gotta do is get a cup and fill it up, and lift it up, and drink some more. Okay? You know, it really is, I can say it really is that easy. Okay? It really is. There's, we need to be we need to, happiness is okay. Okay, it's okay to be happy and blessed. It really is. It's that simple.
No, not possible.
It is
Eeyore
possible.
says it's not possible, I believe him.
Oh,
Oh, my.
how much time have I wasted?
Why do you think I took the hour?
I will say, from personal experience, whenever you're working with the gods, asking for blessing, getting those blessings, be careful what you wish for sometimes. Because years ago, I always said I wanted a man. I didn't want a pushover. I have a very strong personality. And I said, I want to meet somebody and share my life with someone who will fight with me, who will stand up to me and help be my balance. And boy, was I blessed. But just wanted to share always, I mean, at least that's what I do. I mean, Cary mentioned about making this about, you know, what we all get for blessings and stuff. And like I said, just sometimes be careful what you wish for because you will get it. But it's a good thing. Right, hon?
very good thing.
And it's never boring.
Never boring, yes. Never boring.
Could be something to do with that patron stuff.
Let's,
Yeah.
Good thing.
somebody tell me real quick what time it is.
It's
Five
almost
10.
10 past.
10 past
5.
5.
10 past
We
5.
started at quarter
Yeah,
after
5.
4. So I've already gone past my 45 minutes.
No, it's longer.
Hour and 40.
No, no.
It's not early if you want.
You'll be in an hour.
You're supposed to
You'll
do it
have done
until
an
10
hour in
o'clock
5
tonight. You
minutes.
didn't know that?
Okay.
I keep
Oh,
talking,
it's supposed to be an hour and a half?
Didn't you get that memo?
It's as long as you need it to be,
It's
Cary.
as long as I need it to be. I needed, if you'll bear with me, I'm closing soon. Give me just 5 more minutes, will you please?
All yours.
Oh my. Okay, in that case, we're going to Gatorade.
Well, it worked for Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, so.
I want us to connect. In the description of this whole thing, I said we were going to talk about the Norse, blessings from the Norse.
It's totally gone in another direction.
It's totally gone in another direction. That happened at 4 o'clock this morning.
Didn't say Norse.
I might have to take my shirt off. But that ain't gonna fly. I'm sure.
Let's start Kirk back.
Let's. I don't want to do just another standard, take you on a journey kind of thing. Okay. But I do have someone I want to introduce you to. This whole thing started out, I told you earlier, was going to be like a fantasy kind of. What was it? I goes back.
Satire.
Satire, yes. And a good friend of mine was going to come and relieve me of my fears and inhibitions, and would have been the Reverend Charles Chicken. But instead of introducing you to the Reverend Charles Chicken today, I'd like to introduce you to what we consider, what a lot of us consider, maybe mistakenly so, I have to look into this, the All-Father Odin. And rather than take you on a traditional kind of journey and trance work, what I'd like for you to do is to just settle comfortably in your seat and let me tell you the story of Odin the All-Father. And while I talk and tell you the story, look for things in Odin's personality, in his greatness, in his grandeur, and look for the place that you will receive a benefit, a blessing, where you will be blessed. What about Odin? Okay, will bless you. Odin is the ruler of all things. And mighty though the other gods and goddesses are, they submit to him like children to their father. Odin is the son of Bor and Besla, who was the daughter of a giant. He has two brothers, Vili and Ve. There are some discussion that these names could mean will and the sacred enclosure. Odin and his brothers killed the giant Ymir, the first being. From his body they took and made the earth. His blood became the seas and the lakes, rocks and his teeth. Rocks were his teeth and bones. The sky they made from his skull. Odin and his brothers also created the first people from trees they found on the seashore. The man's name was As, and the female was known as Enla. In the skaldic poetry, land was often called Odin's wife. The earth he was like married to the earth. He's also called the god of the earth. The name Sweden comes from one of the names of Odin. Ingilfagni, the tricking of guilt. The king of Sweden, Gangli, goes to Asgard. He goes to Asgard to learn about the gods. That's what we want to do. We want to learn about the gods so that we can be blessed. He encounters there 3 rulers, each on their thrones. On the lowest throne is called High. The one in the middle throne is just as high. The ruler on the highest throne was called Third. All these are different names of Odin. Odin's wife is Frigg, the daughter of Jorkin. His sons, to name a few, are Bela, Bifar, Oli, Thor, Balder, Yildir, Emath, I can't read my own writing, Ziggy, Heimdall, just to name a few. Odin, evidently he got around. He was okay? One of the aspects we could think of is his fruitfulness. Do we need take fruitfulness into our life? Odin has 2 ravens which sit on his shoulders. These are Hugin, and Munin. He sends them out into the worlds to bring back news of happenings. It is for this reason he is called the Raven God. Odin's horse is called Sleipnir. It has 8 legs. Odin has a spear. It is called Gungnir. It never misses its mark. It never misses its mark. I like that. Okay, now I lost my place. Odin has a gold ring called Throfnir. Every 8th night, Throfnir drips out 9 rings equal to its weight. My God is a rich God. I don't need to worry about finances. Okay. Odin sits on a seat called Litzga. There he can see through all the 9 worlds. It gives him the ability to see and to understand us in whatever we need. Odin sacrificed an eye at Mimir's well. The master of the well, Mimir, was his uncle. The water of the well bestows learning and understanding and wisdom. Odin would have some of that. Odin wanted to drink from it, but a great sacrifice Mimir required from anyone who would drink from the well. No one had ever paid what Mimir required. Only Odin would make that sacrifice. After he did drink, with his own hand, he plucked out an eye which Mimir placed into the well. Odin is credited with discovery of the ruins. In the Havamal, there is a description of how he offered himself to himself. For 9 days, he hung on the world tree. The ruins were then revealed unto him. Odin is credited as being a songsmith. He stole back the mead of inspiration from the giants in Jotunheim. Odin's death will be at Ragnarok, when the Fenris wolf will swallow him up. There are many tales of Odin being a traveler here on the earth. He usually is described as an old man with a staff and a great wide-brimmed hat. On his travels, he usually tests people to see how friendly or courteous they are. Odin the All-Father. Many Norse kings trace their lineage to him. Even many kings among the Anglo-Saxons have his name in their ancestry. For Odin's name was also Woden. And on the mainland, Proto-Germanic, see, I got to use that word. On the mainland, Proto-Germanic, Wodenus. Wodenus, I mean. This is a brief story about the All-Father. He's one of the common gods among us. In this story, what I want to get you to acknowledge is that he, the All-Father, treats us like his children, provides for us, gives to us. He's not going to be, the gods are not going to leave us high and dry. The things that he's done and just the descriptions in this story are what he does. He desired wisdom to help us. He desired knowledge and to learn to extend the time before Ragnarok. And to thing with the ravens is about his ability to see in our lives what we need and when we need it, and to bring that to pass. All right, story time's over. All right, in closing, a little bit more water. Are we okay here? Is everybody okay?
Physically or mentally?
Not just getting through this.
I don't think he wants the answer.
I don't think I want some of the answers.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave, you don't have the time.
Let's circle back around to the point where we are the people. We are the people. I want to ask, do you know how special you are? Do you? Do you know how special you are? The gods have called you. You know, gods have walked into your life. Gods have picked you up, picked you out, chose you, selected to teach and train you, to be your guiding inspiration, to be your patron, your and all that. You know, that's a real fancy word. I mean, like we kind of like use this whole idea of, you know, like so and so God is my patron, and we might take it just a little too for granted, too glib, too you know what I'm trying to say? You are the selected to be the patron of a God. That makes you special. That makes you and that gives you opportunities and benefits that we just sometimes can't imagine. We should think more about how great it is to know and be known by the gods. You know, they chose us to be under their tutelage. It doesn't get any better than this. You know, it just doesn't. Whatever you need, they're going to make a way. They're going to make a way for you. Let's take a deep breath. Just say that's the end. Go in peace, people. Be blessed. Find your place on the other side of the hill. Go beyond the mound and be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drink of the cauldron.
Drink of
Drink
the
from the
cauldron.
cauldron.